Among the many mitzvos in this week's parsha is the obligation to place a fence around our roof. Ki pol hanofel mimenu. We want to make sure that someone doesn't fall, and if someone falls, we are going to be culpable. We will be held liable for our negligence. But the Gemara makes a fascinating comment and says, this person who fell off the roof was already destined to fall. Well, if that person was destined to fall, then why is it our responsibility to put up a fence? And why are we held responsible if that person falls when it was already destined? HaKadosh Baruch Hu set it in motion thousands of years ago, says Rabbeinu Bechaya, because we have a responsibility to set up the precautions. The michshol the stumbling block shouldn't have been on our dime, on our negligence. But yet, this was always going to be destined to happen. I thought about this idea over this past week since I listened to the Living L'Chaim podcast with Rabbi Shalom Nisanoff, who is the prominent rabbi of the Bukharian community in Queens. He went a month ago with with his wife and a couple of his daughters to Fort Lauderdale on vacation, and tragically his youngest daughter died in a jet skiing accident. And the level of Emunah that he had was astounding. Despite the tears and the pain that he felt, he was very clear and said, this is the will of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I accept it. And he explained in the podcast that when you live a life where you're full of devekis to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're fully connected and locked into Hashem, then all your anxiety and angst go away, because you know that you're not in control. And if this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted, then we have to accept it. It's not easy to accept it, but we have to accept it, and we continue on as best as we can. The Torah tells us here that this person who fell off the roof was supposed to be doing it, was already destined to fall off thousands of years ago. It was set into motion that in this particular year, something terrible is going to happen to this fellow. Things are not in our control. It's a very lofty level of Emunah for us to reach. Perhaps it is attainable. But the most important thing to recognize and remember is that we aren't in control. And when we are able to submit to HaKadosh Baruch Hu's will, it allows us to live a more meaningful and more intentional life. It doesn't mean that we're going to have challenges. It doesn't mean we're not going to be angry and frustrated. But at least there's a recognition that there is a higher power. And that when we say, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, Ani Mamin Be'emunah Shlema, we really mean what we say. It's not just lip service. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu remove all the tsaros and tragedies that we face, both in Eretz Yisrael and just among Klal Yisrael. Yes, Roy Hayalipo Misheshes may gracious, but maybe we can change all the falling and all the pain and all the tragedies into simcha and shalom and nachas for all of Klal Yisrael. Have a wonderful Shabbos.